Hello, you are listening to the Audio Information Network of Colorado. Thank you for joining us for The Shift. The following recording is intended for the use of the blind, visually impaired, and print format disabled individuals. My name is Bill Goldstein, and the show, The Shift, is a monthly broadcast in which we will be interviewing people with disabilities and those that support them. My first guest on today's show is Paula and Annette Kissinger. And for those of you who can't see them on Facebook Live, they are two beautiful women, both inside and out, so welcome, guys.
Thanks, Bill.
I'm going to start with Paula. Paula was born blind, and over time, she's going to tell us a little bit more about this, has regained her vision, and she is now an adaptive ski instructor with Ignite Adaptive Sports, which is an organization at Eldora Mountain, teaching snow sports to people of all disabilities and veterans. And Annette, her mom, is heads up that program. So I'd like to start with you, Paula. Welcome to the show, and I'd like to ask you, what's it like being visually impaired yourself, and how do you use that when you teach blind skiing?
Well, it's actually pretty useful for me when I teach other blind skiers because it very much puts me in their shoes. I know what they're feeling. I know the fear and the trust that you have to have for your instructor when you cannot see what's in front of you and you have to go anyway, trusting that your instructor is not going to put you into a tree or another skier, stuff like that. And me being visually impaired myself allows me to really empathize with those people and share my own story and make them feel a lot more comfortable. So it's actually pretty useful for me.
I'm sure it is. I myself remember the disabled community having lost my left leg about 5 years ago, and I know that that's a really valuable tool when you're teaching people with disabilities. I wanted to ask you kind of when the shift happened for you. And what I mean by that is, when did you have some type of breakthrough that you can share with the audience that you use now going forward every day of your life to put you on this very successful path that you're on?
So I went through quite a journey with my vision. When I was younger, I didn't want anyone to know. I tried everything in my power to hide it. I was definitely very ashamed of it. And that was pretty much my thought process all the way through middle school. And it wasn't until after freshman year of high school that I figured out, wow, there's an entire support system put in place of people that love me and want to help me. And it's okay to use it, and I don't have to be ashamed of that. So for me, the big breakthrough moment was figuring out that it's okay to ask for help, and it's something that you should be proud of, not ashamed of.
That's great. You know, I know that in certain situations, I'm proud of the fact that I have a prosthetic. I've actually been accused of showing off my prosthetic and wearing a pair of shorts when maybe it was cold enough to wear a long pair of pants. But I'm wondering, you know, when, like you mentioned to me, that normally you don't walk with a cane, but sometimes you have to. Was there ever a point that you can remember or shed some light on that you went from being embarrassed by your cane and your disability to being something that you're proud of?
So I actually refused to walk with a cane for years. It was like pulling teeth to even teach me how to use one when I was little. And it was not until my senior year of high school that I would actually walk with my cane and even be seen by people that I knew with a cane. Then when I went off to college, for the first week of college, it was a brand new campus to me, and I had to navigate it and go to my classes just like any other student. I walked with my cane that entire week.
That's great. That's great. So I guess you could say you were proud of it.
Yeah. I wanted people to know. I wasn't ashamed of it anymore.
That's great. That's clearly a breakthrough. I want to bring in Annette here a little bit. Annette, can you lean in a little bit so our viewers on Facebook can see us? And tell me a little bit about your experience with the visually impaired program up at Ignite, and also, more importantly, you know, what it's like to be a parent or caretaker of someone who's visually impaired.
Well, I got involved with Ignite. I think it was kind of a funny story. Paula and we had just moved to Colorado. It was our very first winter season here, and we went up to Eldora to ski. And I was wearing my blind guide vest. Paula was wearing her blind skier vest. And we were happily coming down the beginner trail at Eldora. And someone from the Ignite organization came out of their office and said, "Ma'am, we need to see you in the trailer now." And I thought, oh my, we're in trouble. They're going to take our lift pass. Something's the matter. And instead they said, "Ma'am, what are you doing on Fridays? Because we got a whole busload of vision impaired people who come up and we need you." So that's how I got started. The Colorado Center for the Blind in Denver does indeed send a whole busload of students every Friday. And it is an amazing experience. The trust, as Paula identified, that trust that they have to rely on you to be their eyes and get down the mountain safely is really incredible, really great.
I'm sure it is. I know that I've taken a clinic to instruct VI and put a blindfold on and tried to ski on one leg, I might add.
Yeah, right.
And it didn't go very well. It did not go very well. So I think of all the disabled athletes that we have up at Ignite, to me, the visually impaired are the most amazing of them all. And one thing I always loved when I started out exploring other adaptive ski centers around Colorado is they all have a little area, with dog toys and bowls and things like that. And I had to ask somebody, what's with that? And they explained that that's for the service dogs and the seeing eye dogs that accompany the VI students. Tell our audience a little bit, if they wanted to come up to Ignite and partake in the VI program, how would they go about doing that?
Okay. So there's igniteadaptivesports.org. That's our website. And there you can get onto the website and find information about lessons. You also, of course, could just make a phone call. There is a phone number posted on the website, and I know Bill at the end of the program is also going to give his phone number. You'd be welcome to call and get details on how to sign up for a lesson. We provide, it's a great opportunity because we provide the equipment, which is unusual. Not all programs provide equipment. We provide an instructor. And some of you who are listening might have friends and family who are sighted who might want to learn to be guides up on the mountain. We need more volunteers, and we will train you. We will train you how to guide a vision impaired student, both in snowboard, skiing. Sometimes we just go snowshoeing. So just getting out in the winter months and enjoying the outdoors, that's what we do. We will train you to do that.
Yeah, and I will tell you, as a former student and as an instructor now for the last 5 years, it is a life-changing experience. There is nothing quite like the transformation in your confidence and your overall outlook in life that comes from mastering snow sports, skiing in my case. Paula, tell me what's it like. So you just started college. I want to hear a little bit about what's it like to arrive on campus, be a brand new student, and do all that when you're blind.
Well, like I said, I walked with my cane for the entire first week because it was a brand new campus to me. I didn't know where I was going. I almost fell down a few stairs. It's okay. But my biggest thing was the social aspects are different when you're on a college campus. All your friends are around you all the time, which is amazing, except when you can't see them across the green. So it takes people a little while to realize, oh, she can't see me. If she doesn't wave back at me, it's not that I'm being rude. I literally can't see you. But so socially, going to college was a little bit different. I had to get to know all new people, and they had to get to know me. Academically as well, there's a whole different system in place in college than there is in high school to help people like me. I'm lucky, and I have a great relationship with our accommodations advisor, and she gets a lot of things in large print for me. She gets my textbooks in audio form if I need it, and it's
now this is like the equivalent of your guidance counselor?
Exactly, yeah. It's a special guidance counselor that my college has just for giving people accommodations that need it. And it's not just for visually impaired, it's for all kinds of disabilities.
And how do your instructors, professors, and so forth get kind of brought into that loop, or do they?
My professors have all been wonderful. So I have done this since high school. I, at the beginning of the year, give all of my professors a little letter that just introduces me, gives them the basics of my condition, tells them I need to sit in the front, things like that. And then my disabilities advisor will give them the official letter from the college that they need to do this stuff, and I've had no problems.
Okay. One thing just crossed my mind, different people who are not disabled find it very awkward, socially awkward, to ask you, how did you lose your leg? Or, are you blind? And I wonder if you have a story that you could share with us of what it was like, for a friend or, your dorm mate or something like that, for them to kind of clumsily approach the issue.
I have a great story, actually. So I'm a horseback rider, and so is my roommate in college. And I got a new pair of boots one day and got them shipped to my dorm room, and I wore them to our riding lesson. We ride at school for our school team. And one day we come back from the barn, and I look down, and I'm like, hey, Allison, I can't actually tell because I'm partially colorblind. Are my boots black or brown? And she just bursts out laughing because she's like, you didn't know? They're black. But I had no idea, so it was really funny, and that just hadn't registered in her mind.
So she knew you were blind?
Yes.
Okay, but yet you asked her what color your boots were.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
It's one thing to know that someone's blind, and then to put that in effect that, wait, they actually cannot see this.
Right. So I have another now for Annette, the mom. What's it like? What were some of your considerations and concerns about your daughter going off to college, and how did you go about selecting that college?
Right. That's a good question. Well, Paula mentioned already the fact that she has someone on campus that kind of looks out for her, communicates with her professors, makes sure she gets the accommodations she needs. And that was part of our college search. Some of it was done a little bit behind the scenes by Mom, but we definitely researched the different colleges.
Are you ready to share with some of the stuff that Paula doesn't know about on the air here?
I know about it now.
She does. Yeah. Even then, she was funny. When we were applying to college, she didn't really want to disclose her vision impairment very openly. And so I had to do some behind-the-scenes work to figure out, because certain schools had dedicated departments that dealt with disabilities and with support. And then blindness is not that common in the population. And so my job was to find out who at these colleges had ever even worked with a blind or vision impaired student before, because that was not a given. They might have.
And who did you ask that question to?
So I would have reached out to the disabilities office. Pretty much every school now has an office that deals with disabilities, but those disabilities could be dyslexia, it could be ADHD, it could be loss of a leg, it could be many things besides blindness. So that's what we had to figure out is where there might be a conducive environment. So.
And how do you feel now with the first year behind you guys?
She's had great support, and
well, I know she's having fun.
Yeah, Paula figured out how to make college a country club experience. She's got the Olympic-sized pool across the dorm. She's got the equestrian team where she goes and rides horses. She's got judo in town. She has figured out how to make it an all-sports event.
I even found a nice running park where there's beautiful trails for me and no cars. It's wonderful.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So, Paula, we have a few minutes left. I want to ask you, so I'm sure there are some people in our audience listening right now who are thinking about trying blind skiing. And if they're not, I want to encourage them to do so. But what do you think some of those fears might be? And more importantly, how would you recommend they get over it? And what can you say to the audience to help encourage them to come out to Ignite and give this a try?
I think a lot of the fear just comes from self-preservation. It's human nature, You don't want to close your eye. A sighted person does not want to close their eyes and start running somewhere that they don't know what is going to be in front of them. It's human nature. It's only natural. So I think the number one thing I would tell people is just give it one try. Come up to Ignite, give it one try. The people there are so amazing. I was a student there myself before I came an instructor. And it's just an incredible place with such amazing people that will help you and hold your hand the whole time, and you'll build that confidence slowly. And sometimes it just takes 5 minutes of courage to just put those skis on and slide around in the snow a little bit. If that's all you do that day, that's a success. It's fine.
Yeah, it's funny that you said 5 minutes, because I remember the first time I showed up at Ignite and I was nervous about everything, nervous about my leg, nervous about taking my ski pants off in front of people and so forth. But the atmosphere at Ignite, It's one of encouragement, not one of sympathy. It's one of empathy, but yet at the same time one of challenge. And things like being embarrassed, they go out the window in 5 minutes, and they never came back. They never came back. I wanted to ask you, and I know we talked about this earlier, about the shift. When the shift happened for you, from going from someone who deals with all the challenges that come with being disabled, including embarrassment and reclusiveness and so forth, when did the shift happen for you that put you on this amazing path that you're on?
Well, I actually think Ignite had a huge part in that shift for me. There's a junior instructors program at Ignite that I went through where young people in high school learn to become instructors, and it's amazing, especially because junior instructors are really, really good with kids. And when I had to make that shift of going from a student where everyone was looking out for me to an instructor of I had to be responsible for someone else, and I had to be open about my abilities with my vision impairment, I think that played a huge part in my shift to becoming open and comfortable with the fact that I am legally blind. And that, again, I was in high school when that happened, and I think that really finished my shift of, I had to kind of be open about it a little bit when I went into high school, explaining it to people, but when you become an instructor and have to explain it to a student and explain it to their parents or your supervisors, you have to be open about it and comfortable with it and just get on with it.
Well, you've done a great job. It clearly changes your life as a student once you conquer the challenges of the hill. But I'll tell you that it also changes your life as an instructor. The art of giving and helping others, I don't think there's anything more rewarding than that. And the ability to do them both, which is something that you and I can say we do, is pretty powerful. I wanted to spend a minute or two to tell people how to get involved with Ignite, because one great thing about this show is that we can close the circle, meaning that we can tell people in our audience about the program, and then we can meet them. You can meet Paula and Annette and myself up on the hill. So if you want to grab a pen or your phone to take down my phone number, again, it's Bill Goldstein, and it's 917-658-8579. And give me a call. We can get into the cost of taking lessons at Ignite. We can talk about sponsorships at Ignite, because one of the great things about Ignite is that if you can't afford to ski, we will put our heads together and figure out a way to get you on the hill. I am all about knocking excuses down, and financial is not one that should stand in the way. As with transportation and any other concern that you might have, you can give me a call, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. And again, one last time, the number is 917-658-8579. And Annette and Paula, I'll do in a second, but Annette, with just the last couple minutes that we have left, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, I can share that as a parent of a child with a disability, I totally understand the parents who are coming up with their students, with their children, and getting ready to hand them off into the hands of our instructors. I can assure them that we do our utmost to keep their kids safe, and number one, to make sure, beyond safety, that they have a great time, that they come out of it feeling good about themselves. And so I would really endorse, if you are the parent of a child with a disability, it isn't easy. And my husband certainly was much more pushing Paula to get out there and explore the world. I would have been a little bit more hesitant and coddled her a little more. But I can see in the long run, it really made a difference to push her limits and let her get out there and let her fall down a few times. And
more than a few.
More than a few. More than a few. This kid had her fair share of contusions and black and blues. Yeah, but
Annette,
it's good.
You are a great instructor and an even better mom, and I've had the pleasure of seeing that in person. Paula, in just the last minute or so, what are your parting words?
I mean, again, I'm going to sing the praises of Ignite. It's an amazing program. I've seen the difference it makes in people. I've seen the difference it made in me. And that's kind of strange to see. Looking back, I feel really old. I'm only 19, but, it's just an incredible place, incredible people. That's how we met Billy, you know. He's pretty cool.
Well, guys, this has been a great interview. As a matter of fact, this story was really the story that inspired me for doing the show. I was on my way over to volunteer time, reading the newspaper and that type of stuff on the air, and I started thinking, wouldn't it be cool to interview Annette on the show? And I got so excited about it, I walked into the studio and pitched them on the idea, and here we are. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and we will see you next time.